dedicated especially to a gentleman right here who is making big things happen. Afrifa says he won't die. Chief, Mr. Elvis Omani, aka Chief. Today is your birthday. May you live to be, do you want 1,000, 100? Where's Chief? Find him for me. It's the 10th of January. I hope you took note of what happened in our flipping pages. And I'll get to find out who he shares a birthday with. And I'll let him know about that. But neither which ways, Chief, thank you very much for being a big part of everything that happens here. We love you so very much. It's your birthday. I will find out the age and let you know. Do you know Chief?
Yeah, the Chief of Sankana.
No, Chief Omani in this case.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome to the studio, Bernard.
Thank
How
you.
you doing?
I could have been better, but I'm surviving, and I'm
know.
sure all of you pray for me.
I know. In as much as we're praying for you, we also still lambasting you, and I'm a big part of it. Now, you mentioned that recently there was a media encounter with the president at the presidency that sought to bring the presidency and government activities to the doorsteps of media personnel. And right after that, Bernard Mornah, the General Secretary of PNC and also a leading member of the CJA, came out with his own criticism. He said that the media personnel went only to have lunch with the president. He's right here with me this morning, as you would have seen him already, and I want to find out what prompted such remarks from you.
Let me start by saying that for all those who know me, I will continue to speak my mind.
Right.
And when I speak my mind, I also accept the responsibilities that come with it. That anytime you speak, you should be ready to brave up, to own up to what you said. And I also want to commend the media for the good and bad that they are doing in society. I recall speaking on City FM, and I made a pronouncement of my disappointment at the questions that the media paraded, and also to express how ecstatic I was at the sharp answers that the president gave, despite that some of them were not appropriate, quote unquote, in my purview. But the president was smart. He was on top of the issues. And indeed, he did prove to the media that he is the man in charge. And so, unfortunately, the media did not raise themselves up. And I urge that the media next time should raise themselves to the occasion. And so I was expecting that the media, rather than give it the negative slant, would have started, if the story I read with the initial sense that in what can be described as an insult to journalists. I thought that probably it would have been positive to say in what can be described as an encouragement to journalists to raise themselves to the occasion next time they have an encounter with the president. But you see, the media can do good, they can do bad. It's our duty to sit in. I was heavily disappointed, wasting my 2.5 hours listening to the president and the media. It was
disappointed at the president or the media?
The media and the questions that were raised. And I asked one simple question: what has the darkened palms of the president got to do with his ability to deliver? And what has that got to do with his ability to deliver and the things that he is doing so far? Obviously, I don't see any correlation between the darkened palms of the president and what he would have done if they provided funds for the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority. And as you are aware, the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority has been a major campaign issue that the Atta Mills, John Mahama campaign team used. And when they came into office, credit them, they put in place necessary mechanism to ensure that the legislation has been passed. And we all watch Parliament sit overnight to pass an act on this, I think Act 803. At the end of the day, the budget statement that accompanied immediately followed. You see that there are no funds provided, no direct budgetary allocation for Savannah Accelerated Development Authority. We asked the question and we are told that a donor conference will be raised and that it is at that donor conference that resources will be given by the donors. And I asked the question, you have your mouth in another man's kitchen and you think that you will ever get full? Not at all. So if we're doing anything to bridge that gap by introducing Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, I expected our journalists to quiz the president on why we were not making any specific provision for it. I expected, for instance, we are told that 2009, 2010, we imported rice to the tune of about $400 million US. And I've said that despite the laudable agricultural initiatives that the president and his team is putting, But it's unacceptable for a country that has sufficient arable land to continue to import rice, something we can produce in large quantities and export to other people. To import rice, when you import rice to the tune of $400 million US, in my purview, it means you have exported employment worth $400 million US to those countries you are importing from, and importing $400 million worth of unemployment into your country. A situation we have not been able to continue. The level of unemployment in our society, day in, day out, we are turning graduates, right from the polytechnics through to the universities. And they are perambulating the streets of Accra, Takoradi, Kumasi, and many other places in search of jobs they cannot get. In these rice farms, we'll be having professional accountants, which will be the graduates. We'll be having professional marketers, purchasing and supply officers. We'll be having public relation officers, and we'll be having farm managements. These will be people we'll be picking from the universities, thereby reducing the stock of unemployment in our nation. Our journalists did not do sufficient research to ask such questions that, in my view, are relevant. And if I'm expressing my disappointment, I am justified to do so, I guess.
Bernard, it's quite interesting, and I want to believe many of these media personnel will also have the argument that these are questions, indeed, that would have served the need of the country. But these are questions you particularly had in mind. Is that to say that there were no related, very relevant questions that were asked aside what you are proposing?
A relevant question is, Mr. President, in 2 years, you've changed at the Ministry of Youth and Sports 4 times. The president's answer was sharp. I send each person there to perform a specific assignment, and when they are done, I take them off. It's like penalty kicks. You kick and you move. You don't come to kick again. There was no follow-up for anybody. That was a brilliant answer. So you tell the president, brilliant answer on the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But citizens of Ghana ought to know what specific assignment you gave Honorable Mutaka, that he was able to deliver or did not deliver, and you had to remove him. What did you give Honorable Rashid to meet that he met or he did not meet? What did you give Akwesena that she did not achieve or achieved? The people of Ghana ought to know. I didn't see a follow-up. Nobody, no journalist. Several journalists came, and so the president went away.
I want to believe everybody was given a single chance to ask a question. You ask it as it is, and however you do not control what the president says. He's taught for 25 years, for God's sake. He is very smart on his feet.
No doubt about that. But I'm saying that there were many other journalists that could have followed up. Just as I was sitting at home, I applauded the president for the smart answer. But I said, if I were the next journalist that was going, people had the opportunity to ask 1, 2, 3 questions at a go. At least you could have asked Mr. President for the brilliant answer in the Ministry of Youth and Sports. But can we know, people of Ghana, what Mutaka went to do? Well, it didn't come up, except you are telling me on this platform that it came up.
It did not, actually. I want to believe this could have been as a result of the fact that everybody went, some people went with rehearsed questions and did not wish to follow up on others' questions.
So if I am disappointed because you prejudiced yourself, you got there and then you were dazzled that the president did not come your line, so you did not know what to do. You just looked perplexed. You were helpless, and you don't want me to talk about it. Please.
Okay. My next question, even though so many text messages are coming already and some not air-friendly, I won't be able to read them out. But trust me, I'll tell Bernard Mornah right after the show. Of particular interest during the media encounter at the presidency with the media, some media personnel, and the president was a few questions. For instance, asked by Kwame Sifakai of traffic lights. And of course, Mariana Kolache of Metro TV also asked about what the president would do to past ministers. A few of these and more people found trivial. Do you agree to that?
Well, I think that the president was on top. You can't subtract from the president. He simply was on top. Kwame Sifakai did not even finish the question. Instead, Mr. President, for Christ's sake, pull down the traffic light because it's already being termed Nadu Mills traffic light. The president said, wait a minute, traffic lights everywhere in this world are supposed to ensure some traffic. But it's better to have traffic than to go and lose lives because people will run and then some vehicles will come and run. And the man was there.
Which man?
Kwame Sefa. He was there. I mean, you could see he was bewildered. And I am like, oh my God, how could you raise yourself to such a platform only to be belittled.
So are you saying Kwame Sifakai was belittled and did not ask a good question enough?
Maybe it was a good question, but not properly thought through. Because why? Traffic lights everywhere. Why are they called traffic lights in the first place? To regulate, to ensure that people move, to ensure that there is some delay. So if you enjoy some delay or suffer some delay, but you'll be able to save lives so that people do not run rough on the road and think that I have a right and you think you have a right and we cause some jam on the road, is it not better?
After a few minutes, would you be tempted to believe that it was a president who was rather very smart and not questions that came were trivial?
I have watched President Obama after the G8 meeting.
Right.
And everybody knows that Obama is a very smart person. He walks boldly to the journalists. They put few questions. Then the man was sweating. And he was first to admit that things are getting more serious than I thought. In our case of the president walked in smartly and went out smart.
So Bernard Mornah right here in the studio. The time is not really on outside. I am afraid we won't be able to do the text messages we're getting for him this morning, even though they are very much insulting. No obscenity, ladies and gentlemen. Send your text messages, but in good faith. Well, let me ask one final one before you go. Do you think these media encounters that have been organized lately is in the right direction for the development we're trying to attain, or is completely rubbish?
I think that it is important, especially for many who listen to radio, many who read news, and especially those who watch television. People did not know of certain developments in our nation. And such occasions provide them the opportunity to get to understand what is going on and what is not going on, what could have been done better and what has not been done. And so when we use them judiciously, we'll be able to raise our level of development, our level of debate to another platform. And I think that they are extremely necessary. But our journalists and all of us must also do some background, especially sector specifics. Next time, let's do sector specific research and go there and ask Mr. President.
But I want to believe the question on the judiciary was particularly interesting, especially the one he walked up to the editor of the Lens, apparently removed his lens and said to him, "Do I look like a cat hunter?" Didn't it come across as an interesting question for you?
I think that there was a lot of humor in the president on this occasion. It's something that I've not seen of him, and I'm sure many Ghanaians did not know that he has that humor in him. He displayed a professional, he displayed a teacher and all. And I think that there were questions that were good. There were questions that were bad. In the whole, I think that we could have done better as journalists. And that is where I have the problem, that we did not in the net effect.
But that did not come in your earlier submission. It was straightforward. That said that journalists went to have lunch.
Oh, no. If you listen to my voice, I said that they wasted the lunch. I didn't say they have lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
They wasted the lunch.
They wasted it.
Exactly what you mean, they wasted the lunch?
They wasted it. Because it was lunch they had. I would not mind having lunch, especially with you. I'm sure I will enjoy it. But when the lunch is eaten at a time when relevant questions could have been asked and you did not do that, the job for which you were supposed to ask the questions, the occasion that was supposed to provide the lunch, you did not use it in that manner, we can consider it a waste. That is my nomenclature.
Right. On the note of the wasted lunch, which I will plan with Bernard Mornah to see if there are a few more questions he would have done a proper research on to ask. If you had a chance, would you be a part of it?
I don't think that I will hit an occasion to ask the president questions on health. What the president will be able to do to reduce the doctor population ratio that currently stands over 6,000 in the nation and about 12,000 in the Upper East region. 12,000 people to one doctor in the Upper East region, 11,000 in the Northern region, and about 18,000 in the Upper West region. It's unacceptable.
Right, and I want to believe there's just someone over somewhere listening to Bernard Mornah this morning who would have also had a different school of thought. He will say, well, I don't think Bernard should have asked this. He should have asked that. Don't you think?
I think that opinions are like noses. You share yours and I have mine.
Right, on that note, we're calling for a break, and then we'll be right back with the Miss SSS in the past, but now SHS. Is that not what we're talking about?